Hello, we're going to do the first episode about flock safety and how they're misleading us, and a lot of other things. So in this one, we're going to talk about license plate readers. In the next one, we're going to do the rest of the physical, and we're going to do Flock Nova, Flock 911. In this one, we're going to talk about the National LPR database, which is the flock safety platform, Flock OS, the flock operating system, and Flock Freeform, which is their AI search engine. And we'll start with the LPRs because that's kind of like, we have data for this, right? When it comes to the incidents that we're going to talk about, right? In Minnesota of this year, in Colorado of this year, in San Diego of November of last year, where innocent people were accused of crimes or harassed by law enforcement because of a mistake, human or machine made. And we're also going to go over some data and facts. Right, and you're going to see all the links to everything that I read, the videos that I watched, that I talk about. You're going to see them in the comments, or there's going to be an overlay that might have the text that I'm reading from. So you'll see it, right, as we go along. You may say, what is a license plate reader, and what is Flock doing differently with it, right? So generally, a license plate reader is mounted on a patrol car, on a toll booth, in a fixed location. It can take hours for an individual to kind of scrub through that and find a vehicle. And so because of that, Flock has decided to integrate AI, right, which is really the backbone of everything that they're doing here. And this AI uses things like Flock Freeform, which can use plain language, right? Officers can say white car with racing stripe or whatever, and it will bring back matches. You can put in partial plate numbers, and it's going to search through this right here, the Flock safety platform, and it's going to pull matches. And like I said, we're going to get into a few of the incidents, and in one of these incidents, particularly this one, we'll see why partial information or things that are non-standard on a license plate can end up resulting in innocent people being held at gunpoint. So what they're doing truly is collecting information and creating a fingerprint of your vehicle, whether it's your color, the dents, the scratches, what kind of license plate holder or sticker or racks you have on your vehicle. All of that, every time you pass a Flock camera, is going to be updated. And they mention that license plate readers do not track people, and that is true for license plate readers, but we'll get more into that. So supposedly these cameras are supposed to be infrastructure free, which is true. You can, they have mobile security trailers, they have solar on them, and a lot of them that you see around the cities and stuff on the news, they have solar, but they can also be put up on AC current, so alternating current, right? You can put them on a building like they do in Walkertown here in Hazard. But, that's generally what there is to it. Some of them have the Flock video cameras that go along with them, because the reason why those video cameras exist is to give visual context, according to Flock, is to give visual context in incidents. But the Flock video camera, security condors particularly, they do track people. And you'll see when we get to there in the video, Flock Freeform doesn't search people only for LPR freeform. They do have a people's freeform, right? When you use Flock's the Flock security video cameras. So, like I said, very, very, very misleading. And you're going to see an example video of how misleading they are. You'll see it when we get to it. Okay, and so the Flock cameras, when they collect your information, they run it in a hot list, right? A national hot list. And some states, like New Hampshire, require that your information be deleted 3 minutes after its capture if there is not a match found. Some places are 21 days, and I think it's Colorado can extend up to 3 years. Let's talk about some of the license plate readers' limitations, particularly, because of their AI. AI has a hard time distinguishing between a 2 and a 7, and a 0. All three of these cases, human and machine error, are related to Flock incidents. And these are just 3 of the 26 that have been investigated by the Institute of Justice and has been listed. And in each time we do a Flock video like this, we're going to go over 2 or 3 more incidents that involve that. Because it is everyday innocent people who can be mixed up in that 1.4 billion and who get held at gunpoint. And of course, the industry standard that Flock follows is 30-day deletion on the LPRs. So you may say, well, what does it matter to me? I'm not a crook or a no-do-gooder. Well, there's some data and facts, right? They scan 20 billion with a B, license plates a month, with a 93% accuracy rate that they boast about, right? Meaning that 7% are read inaccurately. That 7%, 1.4 billion are misread. If we take it at face value, that means 1.4 billion license plates are misread a month, right? And that's how we end up in cases like this, right? And like this. And flock freeform that tracks people, that's how we end up with that. But we're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to get into that right in a minute. All of this right here that I got is, except for this bottom one, obviously, this is kind of like a, it's just like a telltale. Institute of Justice. All the links, it's going to be in the comments. All the video for everything, it's going to be in the comments. So if you wonder where I got any of this from, it's either from Flock or it's from someone who wrote about Flock, like the Institute of Justice. Or, in this case, newsletter, he wrote it himself. He wrote an article about it. So we're going to go over that. So you're going to see an overlay here. I'm going to add it as I speak it. But I have some quotes here from the Flock website that I think kind of will help add context. Flock states that modern ALPR cameras go far beyond plate capture. Today's enterprise systems deliver real-time vehicle intelligence, AI-driven analytics, and automated alerts that support proactive crime prevention. Right? Remember, AI is the backbone of all of this, and the AI problem is processing. Flock also states this AI interpretation and fingerprinting. This is related to your vehicles. Once the image is captured, the system uses imaging processing techniques like character segmentation and pattern recognition. Modern systems go beyond simple plate reading to perform vehicle attribute analysis, identifying characteristics such as the make, color, and body type of the vehicle, along with distinguishing markers like roof racks, stickers, or body damage, meaning that they can identify aftermarket parts. In nearly 2/3 of cases analyzed by the Institute of Justice, innocent people had guns drawn on them by police officers before the officers realized their mistake. And in only 1/3 of the cases was the error actually due to AI, right? 2/3 of it must have been human error. They didn't really say that, but I'm assuming that's the implication here. And this is, of course, from the Institute of Justice. Now, when we mean human error, we mean inputting the wrong information, which is, we're going to see wrong information being input in this case, right here. And we're also going to see, something very similar here, right? It's sort of similar almost. This one is missing information, and Flock couldn't register non-standard characters. And this one is more about inputting wrong information and then Flock using that wrongly put information to accidentally ping innocent people with warrants when they don't have warrants. So we'll get into that in a minute. And while some state and federal courts have stated that automated license plate readers do not violate your Fourth Amendment, I found this in a Flock article that I found to be a little bit interesting, right? A federal court emphasized in Schmidt v. the City of Norfolk that the constitutional analysis focuses on the system's real-world operation and not speculative or hypothetical future uses, right, in relation to the Fourth Amendment argument. Although it's important to note that Schmidt versus City of Norfolk is still in the U.S. Appeals Court right now, I think like in the 7th District or whatever. And there is a Supreme Court case, it's not related to Flock video, but is related to this like long-term tracking. It's called Dragnet, and it's basically where they take multiple football field size areas, or an area of the like multiple football fields, and they basically take a bunch of people's data. This was used in order to capture a robbery suspect, and the Supreme Court found in Charteray versus the United States, or Chatteray, that this kind of tracking is still illegal without a warrant and still constitutes warrantless tracking under the Fourth Amendment. So I think that is an interesting point to bring up. They claim that that does not hurt the arguments made for their cameras, although I think that you could almost say that it does. I feel like that it's borderlining this, right? It's borderlining mass surveillance and tied in with errors and the misleading things that they say about their technology. I think that skepticism is the least we can have for Flock and the type of technology of security that they're trying to perpetuate. Okay, so let's go over some of the software, and then we're going to get into our 3 little Flock incidents. The software, we already did talk about the Flock safety platform, but we're just going to go over it one more time. So this is the actual cloud database that everything's being stored into when you pass that camera, and it takes all that information down, like your license plate number, your make, your vehicle, your model, whatever, your color, all these little different fun facts about you, your vehicle. Not you guys, not you. Unless it's a Flock security video condor or something like that, then it is, right? Oh, I'm sorry, they don't do facial or biometric, but they are watching you. We'll get into that in a second. And, you know, just to go back on this, because these two things go right back into each other. License plate, 1.4 billion are read wrong each month. I know that I have the same car and color and make and model, whatever, the other people do in this town. So, like, what if they commit a crime and they have a partial license plate, but the Flock camera reads my vehicle and they come up to me with gunpoint? I feel some type of way. I mean, how many people drive a very similar car that you do, or have a similar license plate that you do? Stuff like that, right? I think because, you know, even if it's not the same color vehicle, there are incidents that we're going to talk about in a later video. It's not one of these, but there's an incident where somebody was accused of a crime that they didn't commit a hit and run of 3 people. And it was the wrong color vehicle the entire time, and they knew that. But they still trusted the Flock over the physical evidence and eyewitness accounts. So this, you know, is truly the basic. This is your LPR system. This is where everyone's pulling all their information. And how they're doing it is from Flock Freeform, which is a search engine, but this is their operating system. This is their one and all platform, is that Flock OS. Right? They have Flock OS on your phone, on your computer. You can have it in the patrol car. But let's talk about Flock OS. Okay. Hey guys, I'm putting this somewhere in the middle of this video. I want you to look at this video that's going to be linked in the comments. It's called What Flock Cameras Actually Capture and What They Don't. And I want you to listen to what the lady calls them every single time. A license plate reader. They say Flock camera in the title, but they call it a license plate reader. And that's important, because license plate readers don't track people. But Flock security cameras, such as a Condor, they do. And Freeform is what allows them to search people and cars. Although LPRs don't use Freeform people, but it still tracks people. And this is one of the cases that you're going to see exactly it doing such a thing. It using its technology to identify someone, and then them identifying him in a lineup, and that not even being the right person. So I put that in here because I want you to watch that video, and I want you to see how misleading they are. Because they constantly tell us that they don't watch people, but when you look at the fine print, the truth is right there. So another video that I'll be putting down in the comments is from Flock about Flock OS, and in that video, Flock talks about how they have an app for it. They can have it in their vehicle, the patrol vehicle. They have it, of course, at the command center. It can be mobile, right, which is another one of their applications. And the Flock OS has this very interesting feature that they mentioned in the video, and that's predictability about routes that criminals in a pursuit will take, possibly. And I don't know if the implication is general traffic data, or if the implication is that particular vehicle's history and it using AI to predict a route. So I think that's very interesting. And watch the video. It's going to be in the comments. I think it's very important. I mean, hear it from the horse's mouth, right? Read their articles. They talk about this stuff. And read the Institute of Justice articles, because I think it's important to read it from the horse's mouth, and then also from the people who will say, yeah, well, the horse's mouth stinks. So, you know, it's important to get information from multiple places. And it's important to remember that the Flock OS, this is their one and all, right? Flock likes to tout that they can give you a one and all subscription, essentially. That whatever you need, it's a one and all, right? And this Flock operating system is everything that it runs off of. So this is really the AI backbone that's bringing all of this stuff together that makes it work like a network rather than individual pieces, right? AI is automating everything, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous because error, and mass surveillance, but this is human. Error doesn't always have to be human. Sometimes it's AI, but even in these cases, it's still mostly human. But still, and misleading, of course. Humans do that all the time, right? But we should probably be worried about, $100 million companies that are, misleading people about what they're doing and how they're doing it, right? I mean, that's really what this is about. We're concerned about safety and security, right? And Flock OS, understanding these, kind of gives you a better insight into what Flock can actually accomplish in the future and what they're accomplishing now and how scary it can be. Freeform, this is the big guy, the search engine. It's like the Google of Flock or something like that, right? Essentially, plain everyday language. White car, red racing stripe. Okay, we'll pull that up. Partial light, a partial broken light in the back. Partial plate this. There you go. It's going to pull you matches. And we're going to talk about how Flock Freeform was used against an individual incorrectly. But the Flock Freeform, this is AI. All of this is so much, this is all AI. This is just backbone, right? This is all processing. All this information is being collected, and anytime it gets searched, it's looking through all the information it possibly can to say, do we have a match? Is there a match here? They can add these things. It's like there's no longer a rigid search structure. Now, Flock does say you can't search for things like a cross or the Star of David, right? Because these would, be targeting particular groups of people. Although it's already been used by law enforcement officers to target their exes and people they don't like. So, I mean, it's somebody's using it in a nefarious way somewhere, but it doesn't. It's Freeform has a lot of bad implications. This has a lot of bad implications in general. The entire idea of all of this being automated into one place where the law enforcement can go and look at whatever they want, right, and just type in whatever, and maybe they get the right person or maybe they don't. Is this not concerning? This should be a concern for all people, whether you're a crook or you're the best, most godliest man on earth. You should be concerned when Big Brother says, I no longer work alone. I'm going to add a screenshot about the Flock Freeform where they specifically mention that LPR freeforms do not capture people, but that the condors such as, and that kind of people's freeform is captured by those. So they do track people, they do track pedestrians, although they state they don't track biometric data or facial recognition or anything like that. I mean, it's kind of like 6-7, isn't it? What's the difference? Okay, now we're going to get into the 3 Flock incidents that I have chosen for this episode. And the next one we'll do some more. We'll just talk a little bit about what happened and why it's related to this. Let's get into it. Okay, Joel Fetter, he wrote his own article, thedrive.com. Everything's going to be linked in the comments. Minnesota, June of 2026. Pulled over by police in the Kohl's parking lot. Basically, the Flock camera couldn't register the 2 non-standard characters, and they had been tracking multiple people with the same license plate, 34 DMT, I believe it was. Basically, they said that his license plate was stolen. They called the company or whatever. It turns out it was actually 03, not 110. So that is related to the software the AI actually not being able to properly read his license plate. Here, pulled over twice in Colorado. Basically what happened is a guy with a very similar license plate, the only difference being one had a 0, the other had an O. And basically, he, from my understanding, is still on the list. His local police won't pull him over anymore, but he was another man didn't show up to court, very similar license plate. The county clerk someone accidentally sent both of their license plates, and so both of them are just have a warrant, and one of them actually doesn't have a warrant. So He's basically being harassed. Read his article. There's a lot more about it, right? There's a lot more into this situation. And there's a lot more people in Colorado, apparently, who this has happened to. And Hugo Parra, right? This guy, he had trouble. It's been hard as heck for him to get it off of him. The places that put his warrant, they don't want to. Hugo, on the other hand, Hugo has a little bit of a different story. Hugo was captured 5 minutes away from a carjacking in a red Alfa Romeo, right? He was also in an Alfa Romeo. He was 5 minutes away in a passenger seat. He was found on a flock camera using flock freeform people. He was captured using flock freeform. And he was then jailed for a month, missing Thanksgiving, in San Diego. And basically the police wouldn't listen to him. And this is like a common occurrence. Every time they're like, yeah, either they're like, oh, we made a mistake, or we don't believe you. We don't believe the evidence. The flock said it. The AI is right? You have to have done it. That is like the thinking behind this. Well, he was injured. He was later released. They found that it wasn't him. And this one really in particular got my attention because Flock consistently tells us they're not tracking people, but in cases like Hugo's, he was identified by Flock Freeform, and then he was identified in a lineup by the victim. But wow. I mean, sure, the victim can be wrong, the AI can be wrong, but how can they be so wrong as to not be able to investigate and say that the Alfa Romeo that he was in was not the one that was carjacked? How are they not able to know that? Right? And they knew that he was pinged at that location before any police pursuit ever began. So, Flock is being used in not always nefarious ways, but in ways that undermine public trust. When we rely on AI and Flock to tell us if it's right or if it's wrong, then we're playing a dangerous game, because as we can see, 1.4 billion times a month, they damn sure ain't right. And incidents like that lead to the 26 that have been identified, which is probably a very large understatement. Probably dozens of cases of people being harassed or misidentified by Flock and having guns pulled on them, which I'm sure they all had guns pulled on them. I don't know about this guy. I know about this guy for sure. This guy, he had guns pulled on him. A lot of them did. 2/3 almost of the cases had guns pulled on them. So share the video. We need more of this to be known. More people need to know. Share, like, send it to someone who you think cares. Send it to a big group. If you got a friend group with 100,000 people, you ought to send it to them too. We will see you in the second video, where we'll talk more about some of the things that Flock has in store and has been doing already. Because those Flock drones are in alpha right now. But that could be the future of law enforcement. See you later.